Welcome back to Southern Draw. We're happy to have you here for episode 16. A little bit of a break. We had some things going on, but we're back. We're here to cover you for football season, all things college football, NFL, anything you want. We got rundowns, we got game breakdowns, everything else. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you are watching on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, don't be afraid to give us 5 stars or we will find you. Boys, how are we doing? Rod, I know you had a pretty good celebration yesterday, I'm sure. Congratulations on the 6 months with your roommate.
Yes, I've been with my roommate for 6 months. We had a great night last night. Very good food in town. But yeah, it was a good time. I got a free cake out of it. That was pretty sweet. So it was a good time. Good weekend overall. Me and Nick had a good time. We went to Cowboys Jets together.
By the way, never mind.
Yeah. Excellent weekend. Pop the NFL cherry, so to speak. Rod, back to the cake. You said it was good. What kind of cake was it?
It was just like vanilla cake, but I don't know. There's something about it. Tastes really
Vanilla
good.
cake.
Yeah. It was like vanilla icing, vanilla like breading. I guess cake. That's the actual cake, right? The white stuff. Yeah. Um but yeah, it was pretty good. A cake should have like equal amounts of icing and actual cake. If it has like more or less of one or the other, it's a shit cake. So cake expertise right here.
I was gonna say, I don't know, like I don't have a huge sweet tooth, but like cake, where does like ice cream cake fall in the tiers of like your cake hierarchy? Because for me, it's pretty high.
I don't
I
think
hate
I've had
ice
ice
cream.
cream cake since I was like 12. I
So
can't remember what it tastes like.
so ice cream cake is bad, but a scoop of ice cream with cake is good. That's my
So
take.
ice cream cake, is it ice cream shaped as I literally can't remember. Is ice cream shaped as a cake or is it like cake mixed in with like the actual ice?
It's it's like instead of icing, like the layers are ice cream, like
Okay.
between the pieces of cake.
How long does that thing last? Like an hour? Not even an hour, like 20 minutes in the back of a Suburban and it's already
That's
melted.
a perfectly good amount of time to last.
Yeah. Well, I think you just put it back in the freezer after you cut it.
Yeah, you cut it and put it back in the freezer. What about not to just harp on cakes because this is stupid, but cookie cakes, last cake talk, and then we'll move on.
Cookie cakes
Cookie cake's not cake.
they're either perfect or they taste terrible. They're either really bad or really good. But a good cookie cake is the best kind of cake, in my opinion.
It's not a cake. It's just a cookie with icing on it.
What if your wedding cake was a cookie cake?
It's just from like American Cookies.
You're a man child, if so.
All right, okay. Enough about the cake, but
Rod and Aubrey a cookie cake for their 1 year.
yes, we've got 6 months to perfect our recipe for Rod and his roommates' 1 year anniversary.
I'll make it myself and ship it USPS.
Yeah.
Um,
Perfect.
but yeah, like Rod said, great weekend. Excited to be back on the mic. Vocal cords were just screaming to get on and talk to y'all about football. Matt, how have you been? I know you were out in California last weekend for that shit show of a game. How have you been? How you been doing?
Good. A lot of change and personal life stuff going forward. So that's pretty much set in stone now. So we're back on a normal routine, which is nice. Is a little bit chaotic at first, especially changing jobs while traveling at the same time is a big, just like completely messes with your head. And also the time change thing really threw me off. Like sleep schedule coming back was awful. But going back in time, not back in time, shit. going back 2 hours. But yeah, it was
Pro
great.
time travel.
Good win in Cali. Good wine, good food, and a dub. Always good to win an actual out of conference game. Added an away game. I don't think we hadn't won one since like Kansas State in like 2014 with Nick Marshall. I don't even know. Like especially the ones all I've been to, even interconference, we hadn't won jack.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
The
true.
time change thing is my big like cope for why we haven't looked so great at times this year. So I'm holding on to that until this weekend, and then we really get to find out what we're made of.
Yeah, I agree. Matt, last thing before we'll jump in, what was the best thing you ate and what was the best thing you drank in California?
So this is the funniest thing. We went to this, I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's a really small winery, but they did food for, you could do like a food thing as well. And they knew we were from the South, so they made this fried chicken stuff. Like it was just fried chicken, this insane salad. I don't even know what it was. They made us homemade biscuits with jam from the strawberries they grew like outside the like front doors and stuff. It was insane. It was so good. And the dessert, they just had this little scoop of ice cream, a little piece of cake. It wasn't vanilla cake. I don't know what it was, but I don't want to bring up the whole cake conversation, but that was the best food I had. It was funny because the guy who served us that food, he was like, I actually spent he was like, y'all are here for the game or whatever. And he definitely sounded a little bit more southern. He was like, yeah, I spent a whole summer in Auburn when I used to swim back in college. They stayed in like the athletic dorms and stuff. So that was pretty crazy. The best thing I had to drink was probably wine.
Just wine.
Oh, really?
I don't even remember all the names of the wines and stuff. I mean, I wasn't really paying attention to it all that much. I mean, I'm not even a big wine drinker, but it's definitely better than the wine that I've ever had anywhere around here, anything you can buy at the store. It's just better. I mean, it's wine country, so shit's on everything around here.
Yeah. That's cool. It looked like a good time. I'm glad that we got the dub to make the trip a little bit better. I could not imagine the anxiety and the way you would feel if we dropped that game and then had to fly back across the country, just like hungover, devastated. You've just been shoveling food and booze in your body for like a week.
Yeah, I was exhausted when we got back. Just the day, like you didn't sleep good the entire trip just because there was so much consumption of food and alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, let's hop into the NFL recap from this past weekend. And Rod mentioned it. So this past Sunday, Rod and I went to the Cowboys Jets game. Obviously, this game was kind of ruined about, not about exactly 4 plays into the week 1 Bills Jets game where Aaron Rodgers snapped his shit. But regardless, we were hoping that Zach Wilson would be up for the challenge. He was not. The
I
Jets,
enjoyed
just in general, were not up for any sort of competition, minus Garrett Wilson. But I will say, for my first NFL game experience, it was really fun. It was cool. I hate the Cowboys fans, except for there was one fan I liked that we were walking over to the stadium with. Rod, you know him.
Shout out to that guy.
Besides that, it was really just kind of shitty. And Rod, you can speak to this too, but being surrounded by Cowboys and Jets fans, just as like a neutral observer, was a really weird situation to be in.
Yeah. It's two like teams. I don't hate the Jets. I definitely hate the Cowboys, but I'm not like fond of the Jets other than Aaron Rodgers. And they're two of the more like insufferable fan bases in the NFL. So like I said, like as a neutral fan for that game, I was rooting for the Jets just because I thought it'd be funny if the Cowboys lost to Zach Wilson, but that's obviously not what happened. The Cowboys absolutely destroyed them. Thought Zach Wilson was going to die back there at certain points because Micah Parsons was just doing disgusting things to the Jets offensive line.
Shout out Cowboys for completely ruining any hope that Jets fans have, because Zach Wilson is not a NFL football player. It was beautiful to see all the turnovers and the sacks. Jets fans are down bad. It's fantastic. They had a little glimmer of hope, and now it's all gone and back to reality. Good to see that fan base back where it belongs. Thank you, Cowboys.
You know you're down bad when you're talking about trading for Kirk Cousins to be like your season savior.
Phillip Rivers is still out there in New York. Give him a call.
The one thing I will say in defense of Zach Wilson, and I by no means think he's a good quarterback, but that he had absolutely no help on Sunday at all. His offensive line gave him, it was like there were turnstiles there. I mean, he just got no time to throw. The run game was not going well. They just got absolutely dominated. It's not solely on him. The team just kind of sucks, I think. If you can't block, you can't win in the NFL.
If Aaron Rodgers was healthy through week 1, week 2, he would have gotten hurt regardless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Parsons would have snapped him in half, and he would have been literally like a Mortal Kombat fatality on the field.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've been talking to people about, as I was saying, I think Aaron Rodgers maybe makes like a touchdown difference in that game, but with how bad the Jets offensive line played, I don't think there was no shot the Jets were going to win that game in any scenario.
Yeah, no chance in hell. But regardless, still a fun game day experience. I don't know how people are like every weekend NFL game goers. Like to me, that just doesn't seem like a lifestyle I'd want to live. It's kind of I don't know. I've always had like a hard time wrapping my head around that people are like the NFL is like their number one diehard sport. That's like all they care about. Like as compared to where I think it's true for all of us, like college football is like our number one clear cut, you know?
I think it's different for fans in like bigger cities, but Jerry World is almost kind of like going to a like not amusement park, but just like a different world with football within it, rather than like I can see it in places like Philly and Pittsburgh, and more so like your blue collar people going to games every week with their family. You get all that kind of whole thing out of it. Kind of similar the whole tailgate experience and stuff, but I feel like Dallas is just, I mean, I've only been there one time and it was for the Auburn, Oregon game, but being in there is like being in a spaceship. It doesn't really feel
Yeah.
like you're in a football stadium.
Yeah. The whole like with NFL games, it's their like response to like actual tailgating is the whole entertainment district that they do now around the actual stadium. I think makes NFL games a lot more like it gives it not a similar atmosphere, but like that kind of like game day atmosphere around the stadium that college games have. And I can see the appeal of it, especially if you're I feel like generally like the age of the NFL fans is like 5 or so years older than the average college fan. So I can see like why the appeal is different. I don't know. If you're not into college, why you would prefer NFL.
Was it the, I don't know if y'all saw this video. I don't remember if it was an Eagles fan, but like he woke up at like this guy started tailgating at like 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
like he
Saw
was
that
there by
guy.
himself in a parking lot for like 6 hours. And I was like, how is that enjoyable? Like, what do you do the whole time? Like the tailgate's already set up. You're just there in the
That
dark.
guy, yeah. That guy should get a job.
It is a Sunday though, but
No,
hey,
that's true.
if you want to spend your time doing sitting in the
No,
dark.
that was Thursday. That was the Thursday night football game this week.
Oh, it was, yeah, against the Vikings.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can't make it into work today, boss. What are you doing? I'm going to sit in a parking lot for 14 hours before the Eagles game.
Yeah, I don't know how you get away with that.
All right, speaking
Unemployed.
of fan bases, Bills right the ship against the Raiders. The Raiders 38-10. How we feeling, Mr. Buffalo Bill?
I was in a really, really, really bad place last Monday. I was not good. Week one, Bills Jets was a very hard moment for me. Losing to Zach Wilson was not a good experience. Josh Allen turned the ball over 4 times. I don't know what he was doing. He even said after the game, he was like, yeah, I lost this game. It's just like the same shit, just doing these dumb things over and over again. So I was a little down for a few days, taking it pretty hard, but it was good to see us kind of come back to, the offensive output that you expect from the Bills. I mean, I know the Raiders are really bad, but Josh Allen had a pretty efficient game. The running game looks pretty good. James Cook ran for over 100 yards. I mean, the Bills have not had a good running back or a reliable running back in a very long time. So it's encouraging to see him get going. And just, blowing out a team in the NFL is always a good feeling. It doesn't happen that often. Even, the biggest spreads on games against like the worst teams, like 10 points. So, to win by 28, it's a good feeling. Fuck the Raiders, poverty franchise.
Yeah, y'all needed that get back game for sure against a lesser opponent after that week, just confidence builder. I don't know who y'all play next week, but that was definitely good to kind of right the ship and get the mojo back in the locker room.
Yeah. It was cool. They had it like they had like when we were in Texas Live, they had it like set up like with all the screens, and they had like the Bills in the middle, so it was able to watch a good bit of this game actually. So but yeah, happy with the result for sure.
How bad do you think the Cowboys would beat the Bills right now?
Right now, because the pass blocking of Buffalo scares me right now, I think we would probably lose by like 14 or 17 points.
I don't know because the Cowboys haven't had to play offense yet, which is one thing I kind of want to point out with everyone saying they're the defense is legit. I'll give them that, but they
Yeah.
haven't played an offense worth a squat. They haven't played a good. The Giants are not good. The Cardinals purposely lost. I'm convinced they lost that game to tank last week. That was insane. Josh Dobbs dogged on you. That is the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen. And the Cowboys, though, the defense is legit. Dak Prescott hasn't had to play offense. Josh Allen already got the interception stuff out of the way week 1 to lead the league. Dak will be catching right back up pretty soon once they actually play a good team.
You got to give Dak credit though. He was like 31 of 38. He threw for like 275. He's doing what he's supposed to do.
Yeah, but he played the Jets, so.
It's true. That's true. Okay.
Speaking of
So
other ugly or something
Yeah.
ugly, the Chiefs and Jags, just bad. I watched a little bit of it, but it just wasn't entertaining. And the Chiefs need to just start going to local high schools and get some wide receivers for their roster because it's a joke. And the Jags need to do the same with their offensive line.
yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, there's got to be some kind of trade for the Chiefs coming in the next few weeks. They've got to get somebody other than Travis Kelce. And Travis Kelce looked good in his return, scored a touchdown, but it's real ugly. Those receivers on the Chiefs are just bad, just dog water. And then the same for the Jags. The Jags, I think everybody was expecting them to really up their offensive output this year. Ridley's been playing well, obviously. Didn't quite have the game he had week 1, but I mean, their receivers, Kirk, Zay Jones, Evan Ingram, they've got a good core. They've got 2 good running backs, but just couldn't do anything against Kansas City.
Chris Jones definitely made his presence felt.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was big for him to come back. And really, the Jags kind of blew it right at the end. I mean,
they couldn't score in the red
Lawrence,
zone.
yeah, they couldn't score in the red zone. It was huge problems. Trevor Lawrence airmailed a few throws, just couldn't quite hit his guys. And
I can't wait until
know.
the Jags are a little bit rocky still and continue because I don't think they're going to take that huge jump that people think. And then once the Trevor Lawrence quarterback discussions start coming into play, just because of how fast quarterback discussions come into play now with everyone who's a rookie starting to play, they're like halfway through the year, I'm sure there's going to be a narrative going on ESPN and everything. Is Trevor Lawrence good? Should the Jags look for a different option? I can just see that coming after the offensive line sucking the whole year.
Yeah, they're certainly not helping him. I think Trevor is good. I think he's kind of proved it at this point. He just has to take the step from good to great, and that's just kind of to be determined.
I think it's hard for him too because with how bad that line is, he's not mobile. He's kind of just like he kind of is, but he's more so a standard pocket passer kind of. So it's going to be hard for him to kind of he's never made flashy plays. Even in college, he was just good. Like he's not going to run around like Mahomes or throw anything insane like diving and stuff like that. So it's hard for people to look at him and like think of him as elite if he does end up taking that next step. He's kind of like it's like he's a better Kirk Cousins currently as so far this season.
Yeah, right now. I don't know. I think they're probably on the same level right now. And if the Jags start winning, it changes. But
they just need to see the right game against the Texans.
Kirk Cousins is balling right now, dude. Do not disrespect Kirk Cousins, man.
That is true. Kirk, I would say like career-wise, I guess Kirk Cousins actually has played pretty dang well.
Yeah. They're 0-2, but it's early. I agree with everything y'all are saying on Chiefs Jags. I didn't speak up because I really had nothing to say. I honestly didn't watch much of this game because I was fixated on the Bills in the bottom screen. But I know there were a bunch of turnovers. I know Kelce scored and punted the ball in the end zone, and I know it was like 120-degree real feel on the field, or whatever those bullshit thermometers say. I feel like they just make it up. Trevor Lawrence is going to be fine. The line's not helping him, like y'all are saying, but it kind of leads me to something I've been thinking about is like, are there good offensive lines in football anymore? Like it seems like no one has a good one.
The Dolphins have done pretty well without Teron Armstead so far. Our guys who were bums last year didn't give up a sack the whole week one.
Yeah.
So I'm insanely impressed right now with our JV offensive line doing pretty well. And it was Matthew Judon was going to get his, but they've done pretty well. I would say, I mean, the Eagles are supposed to be the best, but they've kind of,
They got destroyed by the Vikings on Thursday.
yeah, I don't know what's going on with them. Like, I mean, you lost both coordinators, right? The offensive coordinators, now the head coach for the Colts. So I don't know if maybe that's kind of messed with the offense a little bit because it seems like that it's kind of a little slow right now.
Yeah.
I have an interesting take about this. I think a big reason O-line play has kind of declined in recent year is obviously, I think, because of the transition from the NFL being a run-heavy league to a pass-heavy league. And I think the big factor is the difference in defensive ends and edge rushers. Because the best defensive edges in the league are like hybrid DN linebackers. So they're a lot faster than a lot of offensive linemen. It's more of a bend, kind of get out to the edge, bend around.
That's
and
what
come in for
TJ
the
Watt
sack
did.
that way.
Not TJ
Yeah,
Watt.
it's TJ Watt, it's Micah
night
Parsons.
did that all last night against the Browns. Like
Yeah,
all night to Deshaun. It was the same thing. And he was just beat. It
Yeah.
was that kid's first start in the NFL, and he was having to go against him.
yeah. And the typical like NFL offensive tackle is someone more like DeJuan Jones. If we're talking about TJ Watt, DeJuan Jones is a massive, huge guy versus the really good offensive linemen now are people like Lane Johnson and Trent Williams, they're still big guys and heavy guys, but they're a lot more athletic. So I think there's not quite enough athletic offensive tackles, and that's kind of why you're seeing kind of this drop off in offensive line play.
Yeah, the speed
Get
off
on my soapbox right there.
You're the resident offensive line expert in the house though, so
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the overrated Falcons who are 2-0 against a depleted Packers team and Panthers who look absolutely abysmal from week one. But good for them. The false hope will really propel them far.
I actually agree. We are a little overrated. Not the
Bijan's a
defense.
dog though. That juke he had
Bijan,
week one against the
yeah.
Panthers was so nasty.
I shit on the pick when the draft back in March, but he is like immediately become the best player on the team. Complete game changing player. I'm really happy with Bijan, but the offense is definitely overrated. The passing game is very bad. It was better against the Packers than it was against the Panthers, but Ritter's played well, but he's never lost a home game. But I don't know if he's going to be the guy. You're not going to win anything with Ritter. But the defense is legit. The Falcons' defense is one of the best defenses in the NFL.
I was about to say the good thing is your defense is pretty good. But the problem is, I think the bad thing though is the NFC South is so bad that the Falcons
good and bad. Yeah,
I think the Falcons will have like a overinflated record than they actually should this year, and it's kind of going to hurt because I think y'all need to be higher in the draft. The defense is there. It's just we got to figure out something on offense or get a dang quarterback too.
You say that though, but the NFC South and the NFC East are the only divisions in the NFL with 3 undefeated teams.
That's going to change real quick for them.
Well, but that remains to be seen.
Saints might not. They'll beat everyone just with how good their defense is.
Yeah.
But the Panthers are bad, man.
Hey, all I know is last time the Falcons went 2-0 with a win in week 2 over the Packers, we went to the Super Bowl. So
what'd they do in that Super Bowl?
The game got called after the third quarter, so they won the Super Bowl.
That Super Bowl is the whole reason I despise the Falcons every day I wake up.
The Falcons' answer lies in Eugene, Oregon, and he is going to come bring them to salvation next year after he is drafted way too early. And, he'll bring him to the Super Bowl every year. We don't even need to say his name.
He looked horrible in our shitty uniforms. But
to Atlanta. It's needed. Y'all need someone like Bo Nix. I know you would love that.
We need someone like Penix, Michael Penix, future Pac-12 champion.
All right. Okay. All right. Anyway, moving on to the commies, the Commanders, also 2-0, I believe. Wild finished this game. Mr. Unlimited with the Hail Mary. And then the failed 2-point. I didn't really see this because we were in the Uber on the way home from the game. Shout out Aubrey, our Uber driver, nicest dude in the world. Never left an Uber with the guy shaking our hands after we left. But yeah, so didn't see much of this game. Caught the replay though. Are the commies Super Bowl bound, boys? 2-0.
Denver is like, I don't care. The coaching changed everything. Take out the Peyton Manning years and the 1 year with the great defense, and they've been the same team since John Elway retired. I don't think it's fixable. Does a win over the Broncos count? Like that should be a thing. The Broncos shouldn't count against teams' records.
Yeah, I think I'm happy for the Commanders.
Yeah.
Sam Howell is playing out of his mind. He might be legit, like an actual good starting quarterback, but they've beaten the Cardinals and the Broncos, who are two of the worst teams in the NFL.
You can only play the teams that are on your schedule, man.
That is true.
I mean, it's also been very close wins too. They were basically, both came down to the end of the game. So they're a little bit of fool's gold with that 2-0 record. But if you keep winning, then you're not.
I was going to say, it's good for their franchise with the change from Snyder and everything. Just a good rejuvenation around everything, regardless. Because last year they would have lost both those games by 10. The skill position players are nasty for him though. Howell did look like a dog once they actually started the comeback.
Yeah, I've made it clear that I've joined allegiances with one of our friends, and the commies are my second team this year. I'm bought in.
Well, I won't be bought in until they do what they know must be done. Return to tradition.
Speaking of teams that are all of overinflation of records, a team that is talked about every year. They're the same team. It's been happening since Phillip Rivers was the quarterback. The Chargers disappoint with a good quarterback performance once again. The social media QB gets outdueled by Ryan Tannehill, who looked like freaking Donovan McNabb or something against the Chargers, just balling all over him. That game was... Ryan Tannehill had a 70-yard bomb to Treylon Burks.
And I know. I just never thought I would ever hear Ryan Tannehill compared to Donovan McNabb.
Dude was big problem everywhere. And he had a read option touchdown. The Chargers Staley's a defensive guy. They look awful.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. It's really not even Herbert's fault, although he's definitely missing some throws. That defense, with the amount of stars they have, like J.C. Jackson, Asante Samuel Jr., Joey Bosa, Derwin James, that defense is horrible. Staley is probably, if they go 0-4, 0-5, Staley's fired.
They should fire him.
I think he's fired after this year anyway.
They should fire him if they lose to the Vikings next week. I'd fire him before the game. I'd fire him right now. But I want them to keep him as long as possible because I cheer against the Chargers every chance I get.
Yeah. No one has done less with more than Brandon Staley.
And then they let the Titans beat them, and I don't want to see the Titans win, so that just makes it even worse. But until they go back to the white helmet, I will continue to cheer against the Titans.
Losing to the Titans is a fireable offense. Justin Herbert is better than Tua, and the Chargers uniforms are better than the Dolphins uniforms.
Currently, yeah, but not the throwbacks. Throwbacks are better. And I actually like the Chargers navy better than their baby blue. They really
You're gonna get Rod excited. Please don't bring up
the around
Don't do it. Don't do it.
The specialty around the baby blue is gone because it was cool when they wore them, but then when you wear them all the time, it's not fun anymore.
That's true.
And
there's two things.
By the way, 2-1 against Justin Herbert. and has outthrown
Yeah.
his ass plenty of times.
Nothing I want more than the Falcons throwbacks be their primaries and the navy blue Chargers helmet. But that's beside the point. Agreed with Nick. Tua, he's not him.
Keep chirping, boys. I know what y'all are
Alright.
doing.
Well, let's get to that game. Dolphins prevail over the Pats on Sunday Night Football in Foxborough. Takeaways from this game are
Justice for Cole
that.
Strange.
What's that, Rob?
Justice for Cole Strange.
Yes,
He
he got the
was
first
robbed
down.
with the first down.
Shut the hell up. That game,
What's your take on the game?
That was one of those games
What's your
where
take?
the team felt like after Tua had the just screw it deep ball, and there was the pick from Gonzalez, they were literally on the sidelines laughing, watching, like they panned over them. Tua, Tyreek, and Waddle were all like giggling watching the Patriots offense. They genuinely thought they were gonna win the game no matter what. And then it kind of started getting a little close again. And I think they just kept that mentality. And that's why it was so close. Like I never truly felt that threatened, regardless, even going all the way down to the end. Cause I was like, well, shit, if this goes into overtime, we're going to win the game. Like, it's not gonna be a problem. And if Jason Sanders could get cut already, we'd have someone who'd make an important field goal and go ahead and end the games.
That's fair. I'm gonna say something that
And Mac Jones is not an NFL quarterback.
I'm gonna say something that might get me flames, especially by the sentence that you just said. Mac Jones is not that bad, man.
Yeah, Mac Jones has played great so far this year, and I hate Mac Jones, so that hurts me to say.
Yeah, I know his average throw yards of like 3.4 to his tight end or running back dink and dunk is doing the Brady special, but he's not good enough to win football games.
Your quarterback throws to one player.
Look at the yards per attempt and actually the spread. Let's see. Let me see if I can find it because I knew we'd get some joke. Y'all keep talking.
He's the fastest guy on the field and he gets open. He just throws the wide open guy. Single man. We know he's single.
Tua Tagovailoa averaged the fourth quickest time to throw, 2.08 seconds of any quarterback in a game since 2020. Tagovailoa is the only QB with time to throw under 2.20 seconds to average over 8 yards per attempt in a game over that same time.
It's because it takes 2 seconds for Tyreek Hill to get open 8 yards down the field.
The accuracy is ridiculous. So that's literally the whole offensive scheme, is to get guys open in space to the elite playmakers. So you're just hating on the system.
To get guy open.
Okay, yeah. That was literally a week one performance. Have the best wide receiver in the league on your team and don't get him the ball as much as possible.
Who? Tyreek Hill's the best wide receiver in the league.
That's what I just said. I said you have the best wide receiver in the league on your team.
Oh, I thought you were taking a shot at Diggs.
No, Diggs is a dog. He's the only one who's a dog on the Bills. I love Tyreek, or not Tyreek, Stephon. I just hate
So takeaway from.
I agree with that. Two is better than Josh Allen for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree.
But no, the Dolphins, I actually, all jokes aside, think the Dolphins are legit. Right now,
9 different receivers.
AFC East.
9 different receivers week 2 that the ball was thrown to.
Yeah, they're definitely the favorite in the AFC East for sure. They look great right now.
Consistency is key. The NFL's the devil, so we'll see.
Matt, takeaway after 2 weeks of the Dolphins. What are you
It's the best they've looked in my lifetime, but it's also week 2, so.
Also, in case you didn't know, Tua throws like Dan Marino, according to
that was
Sunday
the
Night
stupidest
Football broadcast.
They did that. They're like, if we turn him to the right, he looks just like Dan Marino. I was like, every quarterback has that like almost similar looking throw motion. Like, what are you talking about? That was stupid, but
he's Dan Marino. All he got to do is return to 13. We're 13 again. Dan should let him.
He throws as fast as him, but that's about it.
Gonna win the same amount as him as well.
All
right, going to.
I know a Bills fan isn't talking about winning. That's crazy.
Going on to Monday Night Football last night. Both games were dog shit. Well, they were bad, but they were good. They were bad, but they were entertaining.
That Browns-Steelers game was a great defensive game.
That is true.
RIP to Nick Chubb. He twisted his shit. He's done.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
the
that's
same knee he hurt in college too.
yeah. I was gonna give my healthcare perspective. Tore his MCL, LCL, and PCL in the same knee in college against Tennessee. Um, just absolutely gruesome injury then, gruesome injury now. I don't know if a person can be prone to just like disgusting knee injuries, but if so, Nick Chubb. I hate it for him because Nick Chubb is like all around good dude, great football player. And I mean,
He's the last of
he
a dying breed
is
of
a
running back.
dog, so he could come back, but he's like 28 or 26, 27, 28. I don't know what he is. He's getting up there in age, and it's just that type of knee injury is like almost impossible, especially second time.
I was gonna say this one will be tough for him. Well, I mean, not the good thing, but he's gone through it before. But like, well, it is the age we're in now. People get like these injuries, and then all of a sudden, somehow they're back earlier than ever. But
Yeah.
that at just the size he is and the kind of running back he is, he's gonna get hit similar like that again, and it's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
Which I hate it because he's my favorite player in the league. But now
Yeah.
he's gone. So
He's a good dude.
shout out to Nick Chubb.
The thing about him though is don't discount him on recovery because people, if you've ever looked at Nick Chubb's legs and how much he squats, people with like that much developed like musculature around their legs come back a lot easier from like knee injuries as opposed to somebody who like doesn't work out at all, isn't like an athlete or whatever. So I don't think, I don't think we know exactly what the injury is, but obviously it's like devastating.
Probably
But I
every
wouldn't discount a guy like that, like you're saying, Matt, can come back from stuff like that. Like there's technology, there's procedures. I think he'll be back. Will he be Nick Chubb? That remains to be seen.
yeah.
That's going to be a
Especially
year from now answer.
when he's 50% of their offense. I mean, the carries, just the workload is not. I don't know how you're going to be able to match that after that this late in the career because he literally has been the Browns' just workhorse for
Yeah.
almost a decade now. I don't know when was his rookie year, 2016 or something.
2018.
2018. I mean, he's been like 1,000-yard rusher for like 5 straight years. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's legit. But Jerome Ford looked good last night when he came in and took over for him.
former Finn, I saw him take that run and I was like, holy shit, is that Jerome Ford? And I was like, no way.
Yeah.
That dude couldn't do
Yeah.
anything in Miami. But also our O line looked like we had the worst O line in a decade and a half. So
Yeah. So, but yeah, and then that other game, Carolina and the Saints, that was just a dog shit game.
see the video of
Derek
Bryce.
Carr looked terrible. Bryce Young looked terrible. The Panthers looked terrible. The Saints are overrated. They're 2-0, but they're super overrated.
Olave had a sick catch.
Yeah, Olave did have a sick catch. He's a breakout player. George Pickens had a sick catch and run against the
The one where he jumped into the guy and he didn't tackle him. Did you see that?
No, he had
Yeah,
had that
ball.
one, but he had a 70-yard touchdown last night. George
Oh,
Pickens did. Yeah, it was a pretty good throw by Pickett, but yeah, both those games. I don't know if I like 2 Monday Night Football games because I'd rather watch one and then watch the other. Them being on at the same time just doesn't make sense to me. But football's football, I guess.
Can we say the Patriots and the Steelers are the exact same team?
No, I think the Patriots offense is a lot better than the Steelers offense. I think the Steelers offense
think
is
they're-
like one of the worst.
But they're so carried by their defenses in terms like
Yeah.
that. But the Patriots offense, I will say, because Najee Harris can't run the dang football. I mean, the line doesn't really
I was
help.
gonna
but
say that.
really bad.
Yeah, Najee Harris is officially a bust. They ran they ran him into the ground at Alabama, and then you take him in the first round. I don't know what you expect, but yeah, they're very similar.
I think Najee Harris has a future in the NFL on a different roster and a better situation.
Not as a running back one.
No, not as the guy, but I think he could be a good number 2.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, even and like you said, like with all the carries he got in Alabama, when that first year with Ben, all he did was catch like little dump offs, and he had high usage rate then too. So I mean, he's had a lot of touches. He's played a lot of football.
Yeah, he's been running to the ground.
Needs to get those
So we're through 2 weeks. If you have one takeaway from the NFL season so far, what would it be?
The 49ers are the only complete team right now.
I
Yeah,
like that
I would
take.
agree. They look the best offensive and defensively. No one else has kind of had the full. Even the Cowboys haven't, like you said, Matt, earlier. They haven't had to play offense yet.
We
And,
haven't
and
played
the
a full game because people are saying like the Dolphins and the 49ers have looked the best, but we haven't played a complete game like where our offense and
defensively,
so like our
yeah,
offense in the second half kind of stalled against New England, but our defense, like we did insane against the run. Week 1, the Austin Eckler just completely obliterated us, but that had a lot to do with us not wanting Herbert to just nail us over the top. But still, regardless, I mean, especially without Jalen Phillips, so that was nice to see. But the 49ers they're ridiculous.
yeah. If there's a team right now that y'all think is either 0-2 or 1-1 that could end up being really good, who would y'all choose?
Vikings.
I'd probably
Eh,
choose Cincinnati.
I would probably say Bengals too because they've started 0-2 4 out of the 5 years that Zach's been their head coach,
Yeah, they
and
just start slow. They'll be fine.
the Bills, which I mean they're already in the elite tier, but I mean like in terms of the
Yeah.
record.
Yeah. My takeaway from the first 2 weeks is that I think, and I don't even think this is a hot take, but I think people at the end of this year are going to be talking about Christian Gonzalez like they were talking about Sauce Gardner
Mhm.
last year.
Christian
That's
Gonzalez is playing like top 5 corner in the NFL.
It's crazy.
Yeah, he's good. That kid's incredible. But it's been good to see Sauce get sauced these first 2 weeks. Well, not the first week, I guess. That was shout out Whitehead. Good man, good man.
Yeah.
I
Um,
forgot about week 1 when I said that.
yeah. All right, well, that's enough NFL talk. Let's move on to college football, arguably the greatest slate of games in a very long time. I don't know really how long I would say, but besides like a traditional rivalry week last week of the season, this is just an absurd matchup. I'm going to run through all of the notable games and then we'll go through and touch on each of them real quick. Um, we've got Auburn at Texas A&M. I'm only mentioning it because we're Auburn fans, right? Compared to the other games, it's not as important. Number 4, Florida State at Clemson. Number 19, Colorado at number 10, Oregon. Number 14, Oregon State at number 21, Washington State. Number 15, Ole Miss at number 13, Alabama. Number 22, UCLA at number 11, Utah. Number 24, Iowa at number 7, Penn State. And the game that everyone is thinking about this weekend and everyone is looking forward to, the 6-9 matchup, Ohio State and Notre Dame. So,
Nice.
a lot on the schedule, boys. Let's jump into it with Auburn at Texas A&M. Rod and I will both be making the journey to College Station to watch the game. We will be there live. Really excited
Yes.
about that. And in terms of the game, how are we feeling? I mean, Texas A&M, they dropped to Miami with a pass defense that looked horrible. Auburn, obviously, at Cal was uninspiring, and the offense has a lot of question marks. So, what do we think about this one?
Right now, I lean A&M. I hate to say it because really not based off anything in that either team's done so far this year. I think it's kind of a reset. You go into SEC play for both teams, just trying to get out of this week with a win. But I think that A&M gets the edge solely because Auburn is in deep injury trouble. Best Keontae Scott, one of the best defenders, is out for basically the whole season. Several other injuries to key players on offense and defense. I think Auburn is just not going to be able to make enough plays, especially being on the road. I think it being a road game makes a difference, despite Auburn playing well in College Station historically. And I think it's like a 7-point game, like 17-10 A&M, 17-13 A&M. It's going to be a close game, close, sloppy, ugly game, but I think A&M wins.
I don't know. The injury thing is something that not a lot of people outside the fan base are really talking about or acknowledging. And obviously we play well in College Station. I think Peyton Thorne's going to be rattled. this is going to be an environment unlike anything he's ever played in my opinion. And I think we are going to get housed, and it's going to be like 35-13 or something like that. I think A&M's better than people think, regardless of the Miami loss, because I think Miami did look better as well. But I don't see this weekend faring very well for us. I think we can get some good pressures. We have a good defense, but I don't see us like scoring really that much, except
Yeah,
for maybe Pearson.
yeah. So I'm in the same boat as y'all. I think A&M wins this game. I think the only way Auburn has a chance to win is if they score on defense or special teams.
It's got to be
Um,
super scoring too. Like
and yeah, and it's gonna have to be an early punch to A&M to get the crowd out of it. Some things to think about in terms of the matchup is A&M's pass defense is not great, and they scored, I believe, 14 points on Miami, but on just very short field turnovers. And they blocked a kick and had like a punt return or something like that. So kind of an inflated scoreline for them and their offense. But Wegman looks good, I think. And you know, it's really hard to gauge. It's really the first test for Auburn. Cal was not supposed to be a test, but it was. I agree with you about Peyton Thorne being rattled. I don't think he's the right guy to lead a team on the road in a hostile environment and win.
over 100,000 people.
I mean, he's played in Columbus and he's played in the big house, but he didn't do well.
It was like 49-7 against Ohio State.
Yeah, and if you get shook on the road at Cal, you need to calm down there. I don't know that Kyle Field's really a safe place for you.
He was rattled by a DJ turntable at Cal. It's gonna be a whole different world when he walks onto Kyle Field.
Yeah, the only way Auburn wins is, like I said, if they get a defensive touchdown or a special teams touchdown and they're able to run the ball efficiently.
I think we need an Auburn Jesus moment.
If Auburn can't run the ball, it's going to be a long day. Yeah.
I will say Auburn beat A&M last year. Let's not forget that.
That's true.
And Auburn is better this year. A&M is also better. It's in College Station, but let's not forget Auburn did win
And
last year.
Eight out of the 11 games since A&M has joined the SEC have been won by
Road
the
team.
away team. Yes.
Yes.
But the last two
Yep.
have been won by the home team. So hopefully that streak goes back to being what it was. I'm still going to think as soon as the ball kicks off that we have every chance in hell to win that game once I become irrational fan, once the, the ball gets kicked off. But right now, I just can't even envision winning that game on Saturday right now.
Yeah, dude. Thursday after I leave work, I'm fully on the road. Yeah, Auburn is winning the game easily. Don't get it twisted. Saturday morning, I'm gonna be convinced we're gonna blow them out. So, but fortunately, my brain is still with us right now.
Rock, you pulling something up?
I was, but I couldn't find it. If I find it, I'll bring it up later.
Gotcha. All right, well, let's move on. Number 4, Florida State at Clemson. If you had told me, if I was talking about this matchup before last weekend, I would say Florida State cruises easily, but they had a scare last weekend.
Dude, okay.
But
Can I say something real quick?
Yes, you sure
Yeah.
can.
Boston College, fire your coach. 18 penalties, a school record.
that's
better
horrible.
Florida. You had them. That was the possible upset of the year, and you had it right there, and you just flushed it down the drain. Which also, in Florida State's defense, though, it's the red bandana game, the only game that anyone ever goes to a Boston College game anymore. Sadly, incredible looking stadium though. But when you have Holy Cross fans mooning your own fan base on the field, not getting in trouble, that just shows you how far your program has fallen. But still, that was ridiculous. They had that right in their hands and just blew it.
I think for Florida State, that game was kind of an aberration. Like you said, red bandana game. I think it's also a look ahead game. I think that Florida State was thinking about playing Clemson this weekend while playing Boston College. And let's be honest about that game. Florida State was up 2 possessions with like 5 minutes left before a scoop and score by Boston College and then a late touchdown. So it's not as close as the final score indicated. It was close early, close at the end, but not really close late, if we're saying that.
But they
So
had the chance.
I still believe in Florida State.
Oh no, they're fine. That was a total, like you said, look ahead game, but it's the red bandana game. Weird things
Yeah.
happen on that day.
Yeah, I agree. Another interesting matchup that the media
wait,
is
wait.
not. Oh, go ahead.
We didn't talk about Florida State and Clemson fully. We got to
wow.
remember who's on the other sideline. The guy who built his program on NIL in his name, image, and likeness, Dabo Sweeney. And the Clemson Tigers are going to beat Florida State on Saturday in Death Valley.
No, they're not.
What's
calling
going
it right
on? I
here.
thought you just.
this is going to happen. They're gonna get the win. Death Valley is a tough place to win. The Death Valley Junior, it's like Kmart compared to the Walmart, which is LSU's Death Valley, whatever. But Clemson's gonna win. They can't let Florida State take the crown. If Florida State wins this, Dabo's got to completely just forget everything he's done, because Florida State has done everything opposite of what Dabo stands his program on. But hickory dickory dock, Dabo's getting the dub.
What is going
That will
on?
not be happening. That won't be
Do
happening.
you not remember the
Florida State.
the TikTok of
Oh
Dabo?
yeah, yeah.
Hickory dickory.
Oh,
Coach Sweeney is now on TikTok.
Florida State by 14. That's all I
Yeah,
have
Florida
to say.
State's cruising, man. I'm
Clemson-
not worried about this for them. Clemson, a shout out to us for picking Duke over Clemson correctly. Shout out Riley Leonard.
Fair hope.
Yeah, no, Florida State wins this game, I think, by 2 touchdowns easy.
Clemson, come out in the all purple and get the dub.
All right. Now, can we move on to the game that no one in the media is going to cover, because there's no reason to talk about this. Colorado at Oregon, number 19 versus number 10. Colorado, obviously, without Travis Hunter. And will Bo Nix save us from Deion Sanders in Colorado?
I really don't know how you're 0-3 and ranked 19th, but that's just the media bias for Colorado. They haven't won a game this year, by the way. So my prediction stands true.
The media bias is real, but it's still impressive. But this is the real test where it happens. I mean, even Deion said they're not fully there. They're missing everything in the trenches. They don't have anything in the trenches.
Yeah.
Colorado State.
Deion was asked a question about his starting center after the game against Colorado State, and he did not know who the reporter was talking about. He didn't know his center's name. So that just tells you how bad they're.
The center that started is a freshman because their starting center's hurt. So that was the first start.
Still, you got to know your people playing. You got to know your players.
Oregon, I think, was gonna like this. This will be the poop on the parade, the reality check, which I think real people who know it's a nice story, but like they're not. The media's talking about
not there yet.
Contenders, they're not contenders. Even Deion knows they're not contenders, but. This is going to poop on the parade of everyone who's just a casual who started watching college football because Deion is a coach, and they're going to lose by like 30 points.
Yeah.
No Travis Hunter is going to
28 plus. Yeah. Yeah, they need Travis Hunter to even try to like keep this game close at all, which I don't think even with him it wouldn't be close. Yeah, Bo Nix is going to annihilate. He's going to just destroy Colorado.
I will say, I bet Shedeur still does well because he's pretty damn good. I'm surprised by how he's played, but I don't know that O-line. I don't know how they're going to hold up against Oregon because Colorado State was able to get on them all night.
I think that Colorado keeps it close for 3 quarters, and then Oregon eventually is too much in the 4th. But I think it's going to be close for a good bit. Shedeur Sanders, I truly believe in. The offense is good enough to score points even without Travis Hunter. But they just don't have enough to finish against a team like Oregon.
I will say, though, Autzen is insane. That's going to be the toughest place they play at all year.
Yeah, but Arizona used to win there every other year when their Oregon was like at the peak of their power. So,
yeah,
I don't believe in Autzen. But Oregon will win.
I'm still a little shaky after that Texas Tech game on Oregon. I don't really know what happened there. But I mean, maybe it was the Tyler Shook revenge game, but I think Oregon wins. I'm not claiming that Deion Sanders is going to go into Eugene and beat Oregon, but I think it's going to be close for 3 quarters, and then Bo Nix will pull off and they'll win the game.
I think that Texas Tech game was good for Oregon because most of the time Oregon never plays those kind of games. Like those close games earlier in the year, they usually start like 5-0, just beating the crap out of everybody. So they should have lost that game. Like that should have been a loss. But I think that's a good thing to build on from that game and actually learn from. So they got exposed on a lot of things, which I think this week could be a good week to just bounce back and just showcase, because everyone's gonna be watching that game. So this is big enough, not just like the Colorado thing, but I mean, every game Colorado's played, the numbers are like breaking into records of view counts. So this is big for Bo Nix Heisman campaign for the East Coast viewers.
I agree. A lot of eyeballs are going to be on this game. All right, moving on to another ranked matchup, a super underrated game in my opinion. Number 14 Oregon State at number 21 in Washington State. Insane quarterback matchup. DJ Uiagalelei. Oh my god, I fucked that up.
Uiagalelei.
I know how to say his name. Versus Cam Ward.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be great. I'm really excited to watch this game, even though I know it's not gonna be on like any TV when we're out, probably in College Station after. But what do y'all think about this matchup?
So we got YouTube TV app for.
It's on Fox, so it might be on TV.
That might be nice.
It's the Pac-2
title.
The Pac-2 title.
Yeah.
Potential. Yeah, it is. Potential awesome shootout game. I could see both teams scoring like 50 points.
Whoever wins gets to be Michigan State's next head coach.
That would be cool.
That might be a thing.
Bye bye Mel Tucker, fraud.
Think
Fuck you,
about
Mel Tucker.
Do you remember? I was thinking about this. Do you remember 2 years ago when they were winning, and they were always like Tuck coming.
Yeah.
Someone I can't remember, it was some Michigan fan, and they were like, "That saying's never been more true."
Yeah, he was certainly trying to, but yeah, not so much. But yeah, Oregon State and Washington State. It's gonna be a crazy game. Like I said, those two quarterbacks are guys who obviously Cam Ward came from FCS, correct? Incarnate
Word, yeah.
Yeah, and he's very good. I think he almost went to Ole Miss, which would have been crazy, but yeah, that, and then DJ Uiagalelei has looked really good so far this year. I mean, we didn't get to talk about it, but he certainly does not seem like he was the problem at Clemson the last couple of years. So happy for him. Should be a very entertaining game. I lean Oregon State, by the way. I think Oregon State wins.
I got Washington State.
I'm going to Oregon State. I just think they're the better coach team.
Yeah.
But I think it's gonna be close. This will be interesting because whoever wins this game, I think this can vault them to that potential of a not miracle, but like a really great season.
Sleeper, big time sleeper. It could be not like a playoff team, but like a sleeper in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
I agree. All right. Moving on to one of the more entertaining matchups every season. Ole Miss at Alabama. Lane Kiffin, Nick Saban. Will Alabama drop 2 games by week 4?
I'm going to say it now. Saturday is the official death of the Alabama dynasty. Officially over. Double-digit Ole Miss win in Tuscaloosa.
Wow. I think Lane Kiffin is in a box when it comes to playing Saban. But this is the year for Ole Miss to do it if they're ever going to do it, to push for an actual West title, since this is the end, or a true SEC championship. They have to get over this kind of game. But the thing is, I don't trust Lane Kiffin against Nick Saban, because I think there's no one in the world who knows him better than Nick Saban. And I think I don't know. I think Jalen Milroe is going to have a pretty good game, and I think Alabama wins like handedly. I think this is the get back game, kind of, but not like great. But I think this is one of those games that like the college football gods just say, this doesn't happen. Like, we don't let this happen.
Lane Kiffin will not beat Nick Saban ever.
I think he will, and I think he's in Saban's head this weekend, because if you saw the comments that he made
Those
about
were funny.
the Alabama's defense, he has correctly predicted that Kevin Steele is no longer calling Alabama's defense. It's Javarius Robinson instead, T-Rob. Also a great T-Rob's a great coach too, but if you're calling out that type of stuff on film before the game's even been played, Lane is going to be in his bag of tricks on Saturday, and I think they're gonna handily beat Alabama.
The thing is, I think Bama's defense is still fine. Like they're still pretty good and they're so athletic. I think their defense is gonna have a day, and Ole Miss will have like 2 picks, and then Lane will do some stupid fourth down conversion, try to in a really bad spot that no one would ever do it. They're like, oh, Lane's gonna do it, and he's gonna do it, and he's gonna fail and be like, oh shit, it happened again for the 300th time against Alabama.
Yeah, the,
I
the
think-
two ways that Ole Miss gets out of Tuscaloosa with a victory is Lane Kiffin does not do anything stupid and he actually punts. And 2 is that Jackson Dart plays mistake-free football, which he's capable of doing, but I don't know if I trust him to do it in Tuscaloosa.
Also, I think Quinshawn needs to break 100 as
Oh,
well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. But I think the biggest question mark for Ole Miss so far this year had been kind of a true development of their passing game. I think they played Georgia Tech last week and they completely dominated. Dart had several long touchdown throws. I think, and that's what it's going to take, the way he was throwing the ball against Georgia Tech, to beat Alabama with the secondary that Alabama does have with Malachi Moore and Kool-Aid McKinstry. Obviously, Judkins has to have a good day, but I mean, y'all are right. Mistake-free football, not just mistake-free football from Dart, but elite throws from Dart, like we saw from Quinn Ewers a couple weeks ago. Can he do it? I don't know, but he's going to have to for them to win for sure.
I will say though, this is the most. I mean, I'm not an Ole Miss fan, but like the most confident I've been in Ole Miss going into Bryant Denny in my entire lifetime. Like, I wouldn't be like shocked if this does happen, but I just can't like envision it actually happening.
Yeah, there's lots of similarities to the last time that Ole Miss won in Tuscaloosa.
If Ole Miss wins this game, I think they have shit. I think they can win the SEC West. If they win this game, I think they'll win the West. Because I think they play LSU the next week. Right? Or LSU plays LSU? Or they play them because they play them pretty close together, if I'm correct. But because I'm not sold on LSU. Mississippi State is absolute trash. That'll be Jaden Daniels' best game all year. He's still good, but I don't think that puts them back into that category. Almost had like 11 plays of 0 gained yards. Because
you are correct, Matt. LSU at Ole Miss next week.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If they can beat Bama and they get LSU at home, they position themselves without
to win the West within the next 2 weeks. Really, yeah. That would be crazy, and Auburn ruins it.
Yeah, and then they also have to play at Georgia too, so that's tough that they have to play at Georgia because that's going to count as a conference loss. Obviously conference loss, but affects within the division as well, and if tiebreakers come into play. But in all seriousness, I mean, when these next 2 weeks, and there's a serious possibility of us talking about Ole Miss potentially being a SEC representative or SEC West representative in the championship and possibly a college football playoff looking team if they beat Alabama and LSU. I don't know if it's going to happen, but if they win both those games, though, I mean, they're going to be a top 5 football team.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll see. I still don't think they get it done. And Rod, also, just so you know, the Alabama dynasty already died. So, all right,
that's true.
Let's move on.
When you were stumped on that bitch.
Nice little Pac-12 action. Number 22 UCLA at number 11 Utah. A decision on Cam Rising's status for the game will be coming Thursday, I've read. So that's a huge twist in this game. Utah's just been Florida they'd handled, but they've been skating by since, it seems. Just trying to tread water until Cam Rising's back under center. Whereas UCLA, Dante Moore, looking good. They're playing well.
Dante Moore breakout game.
I think UCLA could win. I think that if Cam Rising doesn't play, UCLA wins this game handily, I think personally.
I
If
think
Cam Rising plays, I think Utah wins.
I think Kyle Whittingham is, like you said, they're skating by until Rising comes back, but I think they're purposely not playing him right now because they think they can beat the teams they're playing until they play Oregon State. Because they have to go to Oregon State. I think it's like 2 weeks or something. But I think they can beat UCLA without Cam Rising. They're just their roster's just a brick wall. Like they have great guys behind. They have good depth. I think I just don't believe in Chip Kelly regardless.
It is. It's a
Well,
Dante Moore's great, but it's a lot to ask of a true freshman to go on the road in Utah.
I mean, UCLA's beaten Coastal Carolina by 14 at home week 1. They beat San Diego State and then they beat NC Central.
Yeah. That Coastal Carolina game was weird because they were doing like some quarterback carousel shit and Dante Moore didn't come in till late.
I think UCLA loses 3 straight games after this week.
Wow.
Utah, Washington State at Utah, Washington State at home, at Oregon State, and then they get to play their cupcakes.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I mean, I can see it.
I think UCLA can pull it off.
I do too. It's gonna have to be settle Dante Moore down early though, get some easy completions and kind of get the confidence built up, not get overwhelmed. If you score early, if they score early and kind of get like a 2-possession lead, I can see them riding it out because I don't know that Utah has the firepower to kind of keep scoring with them, especially with their current roster or their option at quarterback.
Utah's literally just playing survival ball right now. Barely get in front and then just strangle them with defense until the clock hits 0.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that kind of leads us into our next game, talking about hoping your defense does everything. Number 24, Iowa at Penn State. Iowa's supposed to be having an offensive renaissance this season. It's not quite happened.
They broke 40 last week.
Yeah, they did. That is true. Penn State dominated Illinois on Saturday. It was a little slow going. It was slow going to start with, but I think Illinois had 5 turnovers.
Drew Aller has to step up. He has not played very well so far this year. Not quite living up to the hype, but I think he can. A good game against Iowa is required to win this game from Drew Aller.
We got to remember, this is also the whiteout game.
Oh, is it actually?
This is the whiteout.
Okay, so Penn State wins.
But I will say they don't have that great of a record against Big Ten teams in their whiteout game. I think they're like 500. So, but that's because they play Ohio State most of the time or Michigan when they do it. But this is looking like right now we don't know much about Michigan because they play the easiest schedule like in the country. Ohio State starting to get back into form. Right now, Penn State, this is kind of your year before the divisions break up if you want to kind of chase that division title. But I think Aller will look a little rocky early because this will be one of the best defenses they play all year. But I don't think Iowa's going to be. They just can't out-athlete them offensively. They're not going to be able. Like if Penn State scores 17 or more, this game's over, which is probably going to happen. But I think it's a great test for those athletes on like Nick Singleton and Drew Aller to have big game or to even a rough game, like playing against an elite defense is going to be good for them going forward. But I just can't see Iowa having just like I don't see them scoring.
I agree. This is a game like you look at it on paper, you're like, Iowa's not going in and winning this game, you know?
Yeah, I mean, shoot, Penn State 14.5 right now.
Yeah.
In a ranked matchup.
It's just you can't put faith in that offense. Iowa, like Auburn, will have to score on defense or special teams to have a chance. Throw a punch early, but I don't see it happening. But Rod, you're spot on. Aller has not played well this season at all. He's missed a lot of easy throws. He's had some questionable decision making, and it's kind of like you kind of see why Sean Clifford was playing all last year.
I bet he has like 2 picks this weekend, but they still win.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that.
If he continues to play, he's not playing awful, but he's not playing great. If he continues to play just average, there's going to be some questions, especially coming into kind of the Big Ten play, and you've got Ohio State in a couple of weeks, Michigan in a couple of weeks. He's got to pick it up now. It's got to
This
go.
this weekend really is like, I guess, kind of sectioning into our next or transitioning into our next topic, the week for the quarterbacks at Penn State and Ohio State to kind of see who looks like the front runner in that division. Just not really talking about Michigan because we're not going to know anything about them till week 9. But
Yeah.
Ohio State, Notre Dame, quarterback Kyle McCord, what's going to happen there? And then Penn State, Drew Aller playing elite defense in Iowa. Notre Dame could be considered around there, but we'll see for that. So now sectioning into Ohio State, Notre Dame. How are we feeling about this one?
Still on Notre Dame. McCord has looked better in recent weeks. Ohio State in general has looked better, but Notre Dame, while they have not been tested, this is the green uniform game. It's in South Bend. Sam Hartman has looked great regardless of opponent. He's been outstanding. I think this is a statement game for Notre Dame to say, okay, we're going to be in it for the long run this year.
Here's what I think is going to happen. I think, like you said, Rod, McCord has been kind of a question mark, but he's also, like you said, played better past couple of weeks. I think Ohio State's going to go in and punch Notre Dame in the mouth and go up like 14-0, 17-3, but Notre Dame is just they're going to, weather the storm, and Hartman's too good to be out for the count, and they're going to come back and win the game at home. But I think they get down early, and it's going to be, kind of a shaky situation, but Hartman's just so good and such a veteran that he's going to be able to lead them back to victory.
I think this is going to, with the over-unders 55.5, 3 Ohio State. I think this is the Marcus Freeman breakout. This was our guy, full hire. I think this is going to be like a 10-point win for Notre Dame, but it's going to look like they'll get like a late field goal, but it's going to look like they have control throughout the entire game, where this game's a little bit closer than it really would feel. But I think this is hey, everybody, we're kind of back. Like we are Notre Dame. We're here to compete this year. And I think this is that game that kind of wakes everyone up and fully notices the national media and watchers about Sam Hartman and what's the running back's name? That dude's a dog.
I was just about to say
Estime,
yeah.
And their O-line's got like 2 first-round draft picks on it too.
Yeah,
so,
Joe Alt's the best offensive lineman in the country. The other guy you're talking about, their other tackle, one of the best tackles in the country. Notre Dame is legit. People need to remember this game was very close last year. Ohio State is worse than they were last year, and Notre Dame is better than they were last year.
And it's in South Bend, like you said.
And it's in South Bend.
Something I'm guilty of doing, because I just did it when I talked about the matchup, is talk about only the quarterbacks. Pay attention to the running backs in this game, because both teams are stacked.
I was going to say, if Notre Dame wins this game, it's going to be on the back of Estime. Hartman will make the throws. He'll make the plays. He'll probably make the flash plays. But if Estime can continue to average, he's like leading the country in yards after contact, and it's like some absurd number, like 6 or 7 yards after contact.
Not like an old school running back. He's not like your modern catch, go run out the backfield, do these little screens. He's just pound the ball.
He's a dog. Yeah. If Notre Dame wins, it's because Estime has a really good day.
Yeah. I think I was really excited for this game last year, and it kind of didn't live up to the hype. It was kind of a game. But this year, I think it has potential to be a game of the year. I know it's early, and a lot of people have recency bias towards the end of the season where they forget about these early season matchups. But this is one I'm looking forward to, and I'm going to be excited for all Saturday.
Trying to find, where is it? See if
this is a night game too, by the way. This is the 7:00 game on NBC.
I want to put everyone on notice right now. Memphis at Missouri this weekend on ESPNU. Watch that game, because I think the Tigers are going to go and beat the Tigers.
Wow.
It's a good take. I think the Tigers will also win that game.
Memphis upset is going to happen.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't think Cook's going to play. And Memphis looks pretty good right now. They're undefeated as well. They've played pretty good football. I think they go in there. Missouri's riding the high of the K-State win, and Memphis shocks Mizzou, and they go back down to earth and just irrelevance like normal. And I would like to see Maryland at Michigan State this weekend because Maryland looked a little rocky recently.
Yeah. I'm
it.
excited for Saturday. Excited to be in College Station. Excited to watch live football. Got the brain and the eyeballs calibrated on Sunday watching live football, so I'll be ready to roll.
Got one more thing. I don't know how no one's talked about this. 3-0 Rutgers is going to the Big House against.
That was gonna be my closing thought.
Oh shoot!
Rutgers. No, you're all good.
I just saw that and I was like, Rutgers is 3-0. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, they're gonna ride the back.
How great that would be. I would love nothing more than for Rutgers to go in there and win that game.
Yes, they're gonna ride the soul of James Gandolfini and beat Michigan.
All right,
I hope so.
What has been your favorite conference so far this year to watch?
I mean, Pac-12.
Pac-12. Pac-12's been great.
Mountain West Conference has been fire so far. Colorado State, great representation. Texas against Wyoming. Wyoming beat Texas Tech the week before. Air Force is rolling. Boise State looks decent. You got a lot of contenders in that little group of 5 conference. That's probably my favorite so far. Obviously, outside of I wasn't going to pick Pac-12 because that was the obvious choice.
Yeah.
Pac-12 is obvious, but how good the quarterback play has been with Penix, with Bo Nix, with Caleb Williams, with Shedeur Sanders. It's a fun conference. There's going to be a playoff team that comes out of the Pac-12 for sure.
And then lastly, SMU TCU. Y'all have to give a prediction for this game since it's basically your game.
I think that SMU will win if they wear the Dallas uniforms. If they don't, TCU wins.
I'm going to pick TCU because Rod picked SMU.
Loser has to buy the other an iron skillet.
Okay.
All right.
We'll do that.
It's the iron skillet game.
The iron skillet game, right? Yeah.
Sounds good.
SMU Rod, TCU Nick. You heard it here first. Game of the year incoming for Dallas. Right there.
True.
Texas boys. All right. Final thoughts. We'll let Nick go first.
Well, I mean, it was going to be about Rutgers. They're going to get the victory. It's Rutgers' year. We talk about all these other teams, but we've been discounting the boys in Jersey. I think this is the year they win the national championship and kind of propel themselves to the level that they're meant to be,
Yeah. That will definitely happen.
Yeah.
Their over-under for the year was 4, so this is
they're going to hit. Yeah, that's a huge one. This is going to be the 4th, and then they won't win again. My final thought is I forgot my final thought.
Rod's final thought was forgetting his final thought.
Yeah. I think my final thought is we don't have a Heisman frontrunner at this point, in my opinion. I don't think in terms of someone now who I think will have a chance to really win it at the end of the year, I don't think Shedeur Sanders will actually have a shot to win because they're not going to win enough games. And I don't think there's really been anyone there's been a lot of really good quarterbacks, like I said, especially in the Pac-12. I think you could really put especially Penix or Caleb Williams as the front runner right now, but I don't think necessarily anyone has been that much better than anyone else really in the country as a whole.
I was about to say, I'd argue, which not a lot of people, they are talking about him, but not as a whole. Penix, like regardless of the teams they're playing, he just went on the road to Power 5 team. They're destroying teams like a great team should, and he's just balling in stats right now.
Yeah.
But I think we'll have a front runner after this week. If Sam Hartman beats Ohio State or Bo Nix just blows Oregon out of the water, or Bo Nix blows Colorado out of the water, or Shadur leads an upset. Whichever one of those three kind of happen, the best is going to be who's going to be the front runner going forward.
I could see that.
Yeah, I agree.
Good luck,
All right,
Sam.
Matt.
Good luck, Sam. Go get that dub in the horseshoe or the shoe, whatever the Buckeye Nation wants to call it. I can't remember. But thank you
No,
guys.
it's in South Bend.
in South Bend.
Oh, yeah. Sam Hartman's gonna ball
Easy
over the
dub.
Buckeyes. Easy dub. But Hartman for Heisman. We're all here for it. It's gonna happen. Except for Nick. Spencer Rattler's not winning the Heisman.
Hey,
We have Nick on record saying Spencer Rattler's gonna win the Heisman.
Hey, I will always have that first half against Georgia this weekend. Oh my God, he was dealing, dude.
Yeah, he was a dog.
Yeah,
He's good. He's
he
good.
was
South.
cooking.
He's back to what, or he is what he should have been, and his O-line is abysmal.
Yeah, they did him no favors. But dude, that first drive, oh my God, it was like 8 for 8 with a tutty. Man,
He was
I could've-
16 for
I-
18 in the first
I-
half.
every time I closed my eyes, I just saw him in New York holding the trophy. But it was not to be.
All right, thank you guys for listening. We got the previews of the games that are coming this weekend. We just had them for you. Please give us a follow on our socials at Southern Draw Pod, or find us on Substack at southerndraw.substack.com for any written content of your choice. We've got you covered. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button or rate us 5 stars if you're listening on Spotify. Y'all have a great week, and let's enjoy some football.